show number 5 of our potential 6 in a row as the Women of Wrestling podcast is back with you here at divadirt.com. I'm Stu Allen. I'm here with Lee Burton.
Is it still going to be 6 in 6? I think it might be 6 in 7 weeks now.
It may be. Either way, we're still churning them out. And I know some people are still catching up on shows. So, if you're listening to this in a few weeks' time, by the time you get around to listening to this, hi, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome from the past. But we've had a lot of fun. We've had a chance to talk to a bunch of really cool people over the last few weeks, and certainly after this proposed 6-show run, we'll still be doing plenty more shows. Just hopefully not as often as we were.
I said it before, though. I think the great thing about these interviews that we're doing is that every single one of them has a different aspect to them.
Yeah, exactly. We've talked to people in the British circuit. We've talked to people who are starting their career. We've talked to people who are ending their career. We've talked to people who worked in Japan, in America. When we first started this recent run, we talked about the fact that we would talk to people who had pretty much experience of everywhere in the world, and that's going to continue tonight, because tonight we're going to welcome the super hardcore anime herself, Lufisto.
Do you know, I think I met Lufisto a couple of years ago, actually, but then had a bit of a chat with her recently in April, and it's impossible to dislike her. You just like Lufisto. I think that's probably going to come across in the interview that we do.
Yeah, it certainly comes across in the ring as well. Very, 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 very likable. Very, very easy to get into.
Yeah, I think she's one of these people who you have a really nice first impression of.
Yeah, because she's different. And,
she is.
Well, but that's variety makes the world go around, right? So, it's all good to see someone like Lufisto doing her stuff. And of course, there's been the recent issues with her health as well. We're going to talk about that when we get an opportunity to as well. There was the story of her recent stroke as well, and the fact that she's going to be making her return to the ring this weekend at Femmes Fatales number 3. So, we'll talk about that coming up. That's this weekend. As far as stuff coming up this weekend as well is concerned, we may as well mention 2 of our former guests are facing off this weekend.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with that one, even though we know we're not going to be there.
No, that's true, but this weekend...
It's a bit of a distance to travel on such short notice.
We'll fly like 3,500 miles to go and see Shimmer, but not necessarily for one match on a random indie show in North Carolina, but do suggest if you are anywhere near it, you can check it out. It's going to be Awesome Kong or Amazing Kong. I'm not sure what she's going by on that show.
It's always Amazing Kong.
It's always Amazing Kong. Going up against Alison Danger, our original guest here on the show, and our sister show here in Diva Dirt as well. It's going to be for the Flow Women's Championship. It's going to be June 5th in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
I don't think I've seen that match anywhere before.
No, I don't think I have either. Interesting one.
So there you go, it's official. It's the first time ever.
It is indeed, and
we've got no proof as whether that's true or not. But
I reckon if you say it often enough, people believe it. It's the internet. It's what we do.
First time ever.
Also this weekend, if you're in the New Jersey area, Pro Wrestling Respect is back.
Excellent.
Which means you're going to get lots of Daisy Hayes, lots of Raina Von Tash. You're going to get Jamelia Kraft. You're going to get Mischief.
Yeah, do go check that one out, because, we have a little bit of a crush on Von Tash collectively. I think if you haven't met Raina Von Tash or don't know what she looks like, you probably have a crush on her anyway. But also, I think it's worth checking out Jamelia Kraft, who I was impressed by in April when we saw her for the first time at Shimmer. And she, these kind of shows are the kind of shows where you get the experience, you get a bit of time in the ring with people who've been in there and done a lot more than you have. So you're able to learn off them at the same time. I think it's a really good thing for them to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, check those out. That's actually coming up this weekend. Sort of heads up. And as far as news is concerned, what we got?
Well, I think probably the biggest news since we last did our show is Maria has decided to say a few things.
She has. And in fact, a lot of the stuff that has been attributed to her apparently is rubbish as well. Some of the stuff that's been reported apparently is not true. But we'll find out soon enough. She's got 2 big shoot interviews coming up in DVD over on kayfabecommentaries.com. You're going to have a U-shoot with Maria. On highspots.com with our good friend Amber Gertner. She's going to be doing a shoot with them as well. Both of them are going to be out imminently, if not already. I think you can already get the High Spots one online if you want to stream that online, highspots.tv.
Yeah. The thing about these shoots is, even though a lot of the stuff which she said has been debunked, Maria has also gone on her Twitter and said that she doesn't apologise for anything that she does say in these shoot interviews, which is exactly the way it should be. Tell people how you feel, just be diplomatic. I think the thing that a lot of people might sort of pick up from this is that it doesn't look like she's expecting a return to WWE anytime soon.
No. I think she's finished with that. She seems quite happy with her career as it goes forward. She's got her music, of course. So, we'll see how that ends up. But I'm really looking forward to seeing both of those.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? I was watching WWF Invasion, the first WCW v WWF pay-per-view that they had.
Oh, yes.
And I just watched Stacy Keibler and Tori Wilson against Trish and Lita. Mm. And you watch Stacy Keibler come out, you just think WWE were idiots to let that woman go.
Yeah.
I kind of think the same thing about Maria now. Because even though, she wasn't involved in the big storylines and she wasn't much of a wrestler, judging by the fact that she won Diva of the Year without even being involved in any kind of major storyline, says a lot about what people think of her. And how much they thought, how much they thought that she, that they just liked her as a person. Yeah,
and Mickie James as well. I mean, we talked about that last week as well, but, Mickie James...
Great ambassadors. That's what they were.
Mickie James always used to win the Taboo Tuesday or the Cyber Sunday. They used to have the voting, all the divas would get dressed up for their wacky costumes and everybody would vote as to which one's better. Mickie always won.
Yeah. How dare you be popular when we're not pushing you?
It does say a lot, and at the end of the day, it's things like that. It's emotional investment and emotional attachment to people that is going to make you want to put money down to see them. And I'm not saying that Maria ever sold any pay-per-views or anything like that, but having someone on your roster who's a genuinely likable person who came across on the Celebrity Apprentice as well as having a lot of intelligence and a lot of drive and a lot of determination. That's a positive role model, and there's a lot worse that you can be displaying on your TV, and a lot worse you can have in your roster than having a positive role model like that.
Speaking of generating an emotion, I'll tell you who I've been impressed by over the last week.
Go.
Laycool.
Both of them?
I never thought I'd say this, but I was watching a few promos of especially the one on SmackDown last week, which was pretty much the only women action on that show. And Laycool did a 2-minute promo, and it was great. It wasn't just a case of Layla dominating the awesomeness. It was Michelle McCool was also bringing it as well. And it was the first time that I've looked at Michelle McCool and thought, I actually buy into you as a character.
Yeah, I watched it, I laughed, and I do agree. Michelle did show a little bit of Layla charisma, in fact.
Do you know what I equate it to? The International Home Wrecking Crew.
Okay, go on.
Because when Jetta teamed up with Rain, parts of Jetta rubbed off onto Rain's character.
Oh, undoubtedly.
So I think the same thing's happening with Layla and Michelle McCool. In the fact that you got that sort of Layla attitude, almost the precious kind of look to her, and that's rubbing off onto Michelle McCool, who was about what as spicy as a korma beforehand.
Yeah.
And now she's actually somebody who I think, I do get you as being sort of the prissy sort of overly spoilt person, and I'm actually quite looking forward to seeing somebody punch her teeth in, which is the point.
It is the point, and actually what I'm just thinking about as well when you made that comparison, which is it's a strange one, but I see the comparison you're making is we're never going to see it obviously, but how cool would a Jetta and Layla team be?
The Earth would collapse in on itself.
That would be the most fantastic thing I could possibly think of right now.
That would be the best thing of all time. I think we should just shut down TV.
Yeah.
It should be just state TV with Jetta and Layla, like Big Brother on the screen, just looking at you the whole time, but just them sort of bouncing around and being happy. There'd be no war.
Oh, it's a shame that's never going to happen, but we can but dream.
Yes, we can. But also, as far as newsworthy stuff with Laycool is concerned, as far as the next season of NXT is concerned, they're going to be trainers.
Oh God, yes, I heard about this. Yes.
Yeah, so they're going to be the pros, and they're going to be mentoring Kaval. the artist formerly known as Loki.
I'm in two minds about this. Number one, I see the comedic value of it, and obviously that's why they're there.
They've already pointed out that he's shorter than McCool.
See, I haven't even seen any of the footage yet, but obviously the comedic purpose is there. But on the other hand, why would you saddle Caval with Lay Cool as a pro? Because all they're going to do is undermine him. Now, when you're the Miz and Daniel Bryan, then there's a payoff to that, because Daniel Bryan can eventually get his own back on the Miz in a match. But you can't eventually have the payoff of Caval kicking the head off Michelle McCool and Layla.
Yeah, I'm not imagining him doing a double foot stomp.
It's not going to happen. So, I mean, to me, it's almost like you're going to spend several weeks of this season, or however long Caval lasts. Probably, he's a good chance to make it all the way, especially when he starts to wrestle. I think people will just be like, whoa, I've never seen something like this before. But you're going to have, 9 weeks or 10 weeks of Lay Cool essentially undermining his character.
Or on the flip side, you could have Caval come out on the first show, and he starts beating people to death mercilessly, and they become terrified of him.
It's a possibility as well. There are options there, but I think that someone like Caval, I think he's got an intensity and a seriousness about him that undermining that by putting him with Lay Cool isn't going to be the most productive thing in the long run.
He's not loving life, that's for sure.
No. But could you imagine if he made some of those videos?
That would be amazing. Oh, I want to see Loki on roller skates right now.
And then just randomly kicking people's head off.
Yes, kicking people's heads off with the rollerblades.
Yes.
So like the wheels are embedded in their skull. This is the greatest thing in the world. I want it to happen.
Well, then
this has now superseded Jetta and Layla.
In that case, we've got to hope that that's what happens in NXT. But yeah, as far as wrestling this past week has been concerned, I think we're going to talk about something as the best match of the week that I didn't think we would necessarily talk about. But
I genuinely didn't think we would.
You can take the lead on this one.
Okay, if you wanted the best women's match of last week, forget TNA, forget Raw, forget SmackDown. The best women's match of last week was on WrestleLicious.
That's bizarre.
This is not me joking. I'm not saying this to try and trick you. It was just the best match. Glory versus Felony was great.
And they're both wrestlers. So I think in this case they just got to go out there and have a good match for the title.
There was no crap involved. The commentator actually treated it like a proper match as well. No jokes.
The commentator was always my biggest problem with WrestleLicious. I couldn't get past that guy with his double entendres that were so subtle they may as well have been single entendres.
No, he really helped with the match this time. And Felony and Glory were great. I love Rain working as Felony.
She works it very, very well. She really, really does. I mean, we talked about last week with Amazing Kong, talking about hustle and how she loved just going out there and being Margaret for shows, and I guess it's kind of like the same with WrestleLicious. They can go out there and they can play these characters. I mean, Glory's not really much of a character; it's more of like a cipher. But Felony especially is a real character that Rain can get behind and infuse with some sort of fun.
Before I praise WrestleLicious too much, though, I have to say that if you are going to watch the episode for the WrestleLicious Crown with Glory versus Felony, which is the opening match of the show, and it's pretty much half of the show that it goes on for, as soon as that match finishes, stop watching. Just stop immediately. Turn it off. Go make a sandwich. Something. Do not carry on watching it, because there's the sort of the comedy skits which aren't funny with the canned laughter, and there's a bit of a brawl afterwards with the next challenger for the WrestleLicious Crown. I won't tell you who it is if you haven't watched it yet. And there's another one of those WrestleLicious profiles, which is essentially just a softly focused music video. Forget all that. That's not worth watching. Just watch the match. It's great.
There you go. Never thought we'd be saying that about WrestleLicious, but match of the week.
Yeah. Fair play to you.
Yeah. All right, then. One other thing I want to touch on before we get on to our interview this evening, and that is an opportunity for you to be philanthropic if you're able to. And
that's a big word for this show.
Generous, then.
There you go.
If you'd like to be generous and give some money to charity, you can do so. Amazing Kong's well known for her charity stuff. We talked about that last week. Some of the other girls less so, but they do appreciate when people have an opportunity to support them and sponsor them. And this one's in respect of Kat Power. Kat Power, the Canadian wrestler. You'll see her in Shimmer. You'll see her in Femme Fatale actually this weekend. She's got a match coming up against Mistress Belmont. And she's doing a Canadian Run for the Cure for the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation in October. And if you want to sponsor her, give her some money. She's already reached her $200 target.
We can get more than that.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure she doesn't mind if she gets more than that. So
is that $200 Canadian?
I think it's $200 US.
Because if it's $200 Canadian, we can work on that very well.
Even if it's $200 US, we can still work on that as well. So
without a doubt.
If you can, pop along, drop some cash. I'm sure she'll appreciate it. And it's a good cause, of course.
Is it a Just Giving page that she has?
It's not. It's somewhat similar, though, and I've actually given some cash to this already, so I can vouch for the fact that it's actually really easy to do. It's www.runforthecure.com/go-to, one word, /support cat. Okay.
Tell you what, should we stick the link on the page as well?
We'll stick the link on the page as well. runforthecure.com/go-to/support cat. Drop her some cash, even if it's just a few dollars. It's all gonna help.
And everybody knows somebody's been affected by cancer, so it's a worthwhile cause.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the thing, isn't it? I mean, it's a universal disease, needs to be stamped out, and if somebody's going to kick cancer in the ass, it may as well be Kat Power, right?
Word.
So, with that, let's move on to our interview tonight with one of the stars of this weekend's Femme Fatale show, Lufisto. So we are back with the star and promoter of this weekend's upcoming Femme Fatale show. We are pleased to be joined by the super hardcore anime herself, Lufisto.
Hey, hi guys.
Thanks very much for taking some time out to talk to us. And it's a big weekend coming up for you. You've got the third Femme Fatale show, NCW Femmes Fatales show, coming up. It's going to be is it Montreal?
Yeah, it's in Montreal, Quebec, up north Canada.
Okay, and it's going to be good. We got some big matches coming up, and the biggest one, I guess, as far as a lot of people are concerned, it's going to feature you against Sarah Del Rey. And now that would be a fantastic match on any occasion, anyway. But given the fact that you've had a recent health issue, I think a lot of people even now are like, wow, this is going to be. It's going to be a really special occasion because it's kind of your comeback. Let's talk about what happened first of all. I know it may be a difficult thing, but we need to, I guess, address it, and that's what happened to you on April 17th when you had a stroke.
Yeah, so what happened is right after the match, I had a tag match, nothing really, nothing special, just a simple tag match, like a 3-on-3, and I went backstage and I had to I started to have the chest pain, so I'm like, oh, maybe I'm just tired, because the night before, I was with wrestler Don Paisan at the hospital because he messed up his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, I didn't sleep, maybe that's why, and then I couldn't catch my breath, and I started feeling pain in my chest and then my arm, and suddenly everything went numb, and I couldn't speak from the left side of my face. So I laid down, and wrestler Alex Price came to see me. He's like, do you have asthma or something? I'm like, no, I'm in perfect shape. Like, I don't have any health problems. And then I couldn't talk, and one of my eye, started closing. It's like, oh, my God, that looks like a stroke, because he works at 911 during the week. So he knew what was going on from the symptoms I have. So he made the call, and basically he saved my life, because I got in the hospital so fast that the blood clot, they were able to remove it from wherever it was. Apparently it was on the right side of my brain. And that's why today I can't even say it was not even a stroke. It was just a blood clot that went through, because it had no time to leave any damage. I don't have any scars on my brain. That's why I talk fine. I can move fine. I was back to work a week after. But still, it was really, really scary.
I'm sure.
The The big thing I always hear about strokes, like you say, is that the sooner you catch it, the less damage it can do. So I guess it was really lucky that you had somebody there who knew the symptoms and knew what to do.
Oh, definitely. And the thing the doctor told me is I have such a good cardio, and I have like really good like general health. My blood sugar is good, my cholesterol, like I train like a lot. So being in such a shape, like I'm not in perfect shape, but I'm well enough to, when something like that happens, like you recover a lot quicker than somebody who wouldn't go to the gym, who wouldn't eat properly, who wouldn't, so I guess my lifestyle, my wrestling lifestyle kind of destroyed a few body parts, but at least it helped when I needed to.
Well, that's a positive way to look at it, certainly. And I mean, so you were back at work a week later. Were you in hospital for long then?
I was in hospital for close to 4 days. So they went through like a bunch of tests, like MRIs, scans, just to see if there was any damage, and to try to find like where the blood clot came from. Like I had a test last week. They checked my heart if I had any, if my heart was weird or if there was anything like not normal. So they put a camera down my throat. It wasn't a really funny experience, but still. So they have a pretty good idea where it came from. They suspect it came from a little hole I have in my heart. It's something that 20% of the population have, and it's not something that can be damaging for somebody's life. But since I'm so active, maybe that's what happened because of my family story, so they don't know. So the worst case scenario is they're gonna fix it, but it's not stopping me from training or either wrestling, because wrestling was not the reason why I did that. It's probably just family, bad family history. Like my father died 31, my grandma 52, like all related blood clots or heart problems. So yeah, I'm not really lucky because of my family history. So. Wow.
That's one thing I wanted to ask you. I mean, so there's no way that wrestling could have caused that. So,
oh no, something I want to really make clear to everybody. Like, because I read on the net that I was selfish going back in the ring, that I was putting the promotions in trouble and all the kind of stuff. Like, the reason why I'm going back is because 2 neurologists and 2 cardiologists told me I was safe to do so. Like, they know what they're talking about. If there was any doubt, listen, I wouldn't go back in the ring. And my mom was there when it happened, and I'm her only daughter, and so she was really scared. She's like, you got to stop the wrestling, My mom's a nurse, so I'm like, Mom, wait till the doctor tells me what to do. And the doctor even told her, like, it's not wrestling, it's something else. So your daughter can keep on wrestling. And for my mom to accept the fact that I'm not going to quit, it's because it's okay.
Well, the doctors say that you're safe to go back into the ring, but you personally, do you feel like a little bit maybe sort of nervous or gun shy about the whole thing, and the fact that you think in the back of your head this might happen again?
Not that it might happen again, because I don't think it would, because with this thing happening, I've changed my diet, I've changed my training, and I never felt so good. Like, I lost 7 pounds, and I move a lot quicker, my cardio is a lot better, but the thing that really scares me is that my opponent, or any opponent I'm going to face in the future, is scared to be with me in the ring. Like, I don't know if you understand what I mean.
I do, yeah.
I'm afraid that my opponents will be uncomfortable with me thinking that it might happen. But the thing is, like, it's really not wrestling related, so they can hit me or whatever the same they were before. So they just need to be confident and know that if I'm in the ring right now, it's because 4 doctors told me it was good to do so. And he really, like, told me, don't change your lifestyle for that one thing, because, it's something that probably would have happened even if you were not wrestling at all.
Sure. Well, that's good to know. So, I mean, we're going to go into this weekend's Femme Fatale show then with you in essentially tip-top condition, and it's a match with Sarah Del Rey. I think a lot of people are really looking forward to this. But it looks like...
I'm looking forward to it, too. I'm really nervous, though.
Oh, yeah. I think she'll hit you hard. I'm sure she will.
Oh, yeah. I hope so. I expect nothing less from Sarah. She's a great wrestler, and... we've been trying to have this match for over, I think, 3 years, and always something happened. Show got canceled, car broke down, whatever. So it's about time.
I heard you'd had some problems having this match before. Is this going to literally be the first time that you've wrestled?
It is the first time. Yeah, it's the first time ever that I will face Sarah Del Rey as an opponent. She's been my partner before in Japan, and we trained together. But we never squared off face to face as opponents.
Well, that's a reason to get down to Montreal if you're able to.
Oh yeah.
Or get the DVD as well. But what you got here is you got the tournament for the first Femme Fatale champion as well. Tournament lineup, we'll run through it really quickly. Looks really good. It's yourself and Sarah Del Rey. Winner of that's going to fight the winner of Calamity or Sweet Cherry. Yeah. And on the other side, we got PJ Tyler against Portia Perez. And we got a match which has just been added recently. It's a replacement match. I think Casey Diamond wasn't able to wrestle, so
Casey Diamond has a little health condition right now, so it's better for her not to wrestle. So we found Ninja for Melissa. So we were really happy to have Nicole back in Montreal. She was here once before for another promotion, but we're really happy that she's with us at Femme Fatale, and it should be really interesting, because if she beats Melissa and Portia beats PJ, it means a ninja fight.
Nobody wins in a ninja fight. Wow.
The entire crowd will die.
No, that looks good, because I mean that's a rematch as well from one of the recent Shimmer tapings as well.
Yes, indeed.
We were there for that, and that was the match that, I mean, I know a lot of people talked about the Ayako Hamada Sarah Del Rey match that weekend, but this one was if not as good, it was very nearly as good. It was tremendous.
Yeah, it was really, really good. I've watched a match recently because I had to work on Nicole's entrance music video, so I've watched it. And it is indeed a great match where you can see that Nicole is an accomplished singles wrestler as well as a tag wrestler. So it should be really interesting. And I know Melissa's really, really popular in Montreal, so I'm pretty sure all the crowd will be behind her for that one. So Nicole will have to work really, really hard, because Melissa has a tag partner right in the crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got the first two DVDs. I haven't watched the second one yet, but I know the first one was you and Melissa in the main event as well, which is another big rematch as well. I mean, talk to us about Femme Fatale, what that means to you, what sort of role you play in bringing the whole Femme Fatale thing together.
Well, how it started, Femme Fatale, is I used to work for ALF, which was the promotion in Montreal, was mainly all female, but we didn't have the resources to bring talent from the outside. But my role there was to work on the videos, the website, anything that's multimedia, because that's my real job. I'm a multimedia designer. So when that promotion closed, NCW came to me, it's like, we would really like you to run our female division. And I'm like, okay, I really didn't want to, because it's a lot of work. I didn't really want to get involved, so I told them, if I can make this a Shimmer Canada, I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. But if it's anything else, I just don't want to work as much as I did, because I want to be able to bring all the good talents in Montreal. I want to show people that female wrestling can be really good, and it's not what you see on TV. And that was really, really important for me. And when they told me I would have the budget to do so, and I would be able to choose the person who would work with me, because I'm not booking the matches, because as a wrestler, I don't want to bother with that. I want to be told what to do in the ring. I don't want to think about what I have to do myself. And I have so much work to do with all the videos, the website, graphics, whatever you can think of. So that's when I asked my friend Stéphane Brière to come and join me in that new adventure. And, of course, he said yes. So I was really happy, because Stéphane is one of those guys where he's like a Dave Prazak. He's really the Dave Prazak of Canada. He loves women wrestling for the talent, the skill, and the characters. So I knew he was the good person to choose, and he's really, really dedicated to everything he does. Actually, he's the one who made it happen. Like we just recently joined the Female Fight League, and he's the one who's been working with Jason Deadrich on that, and Melissa. So he's a very great guy to have by my side. So he's more in charge of calling the girls, booking the matches, doing the storylines, everything that's really the show itself. That's what he does. And I'm on the creative side, like he tells me what video he needs or whatever, the graphics, and that's how we work.
Okay, you talked a bit about the Female Fight League and stuff. I mean, that's only just recently come to people's attention. People have been talking about this. It's Chick Fight and Pro Wrestling Eve here in the UK and Femme Fatale in Canada. I mean, it's still in its infancy, I think, as far as what it can become. I mean, can you talk about that at the minute, about what that means to be involved in Female Fight League, or is that something that's going to become more clear as the months and the years go on?
Yeah, it's something that's going to become more clear in the upcoming months. Like right now, I'm not really up to date on what's going on. It's more Stefan's work to work with Jason and see where we can take female wrestling, to the next level. I know they have a bunch of plans, but I think I'm going to let Jason and Stefan give you the updates on that, because it's really their work thing, and the only thing I know, it's going to help female wrestling as a whole everywhere in the world, because if we're all together with the same idea of what it should be and what it should look like, promotions like that's a Pro Wrestling Eve and Chick Fight, Femme Fatale, if we all come together, it can always, it will make us stronger as a group. So it can only be good for female wrestling.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, from watching the first Femme Fatales, I mean, it did sort of. We were at the debut of Pro Wrestling Eve as well. What's good about it is I think both of them have the same kind of idea, where you've got your main event, which features the more accomplished wrestlers, but you've got a bunch of girls on the undercard as well who are really seeing that as an opportunity to put themselves in the limelight and try and catch a bit of that same sort of spotlight from the main event girls as well. So, if you get a Femme Fatale DVD, you might get it to see Lufisto and Melissa, but you're going to see a bunch of girls on the undercard as well that you haven't necessarily seen before.
Yeah, for sure. That's the idea, because the girls from Quebec, they don't have, most of them don't have much experience, and they don't have a lot of exposure. So by bringing big names like Melissa, Mercedes, Portia, and they get to work those people, they will learn, they will get experience, and at the same time, with people buying the DVD all over the world, they will get exposure, they will get their names out there, and that's why we're doing that too, because it's not really a personal project, it's more something that I want to do, and Stefan also, for all the girls in Quebec, because when I started, nobody was helping me, and it was really, really hard to get my name across, and I had to build my own website, and, it ended up being my job. But that's what we're trying to do, trying to get their names out there, because it's really, really hard to get noticed. So if we're doing that, then I think we're doing our job.
Any possibility, maybe, because of the fact that places like Femme Fatale and Eve are connected to the Female Fight League, that there might be a possibility of maybe sharing talent in the future? Maybe we have some of the Femme Fatale girls maybe come over in here and do some things over here, or maybe you have maybe some of the Eve girls go over to Femme Fatale and wrestle there.
I always want new girls. I want to show people talents from all over the world. So if that's a possibility, definitely. I've never wrestled in England myself, so I would love to go, and I know some of my girls like Calamity, Sweet Cherry, I'm sure they would love to discover England and other, countries. So for sure, if we can make it work, we're going to do it.
Okay, I mean, it's good for those girls as well now, because, as you said, they've got somewhere to sort of show their wares. But going back to when you started, you said that no one was really helping you when you started. You started, I think, age 17 when you started training. What got you involved in pro wrestling originally?
Well, I was watching with my grandma as I was really young, but later I was playing in a band, and my drummer was a big wrestling fan. So when I were just looking at it was WWE, and there was that feud, Undertaker and Yokozuna. And that's where I really got, like, into wrestling, because I love the character, the storyline. I'm like, wow, this is everything I love. This is entertainment. This is sports, because I used to play baseball and football. But, you know, it wasn't really, not that it was challenging, but I didn't like it enough to push it. And at the same time, like, school opened up in my hometown, and all my friends, a few of them were joining. It's like, oh, you know, it's going to be hard for you. You're small. You're a girl. I was hearing people saying I was too fat, and I'm like, she wouldn't be able to go through the classes and stuff. And I got so mad that I joined to prove people wrong, and that's how I got into wrestling.
That's awesome. So basically, Undertaker and Yokozuna was one of the reasons, which blows my mind already. But
it must be the only person in the world who got inspired to wrestle because of Undertaker versus Yokozuna.
I like the storylines and stuff, so I just like the way it was worked, and it was like really like a soap opera for me on TV. And I don't know, it's the magic behind the wrestling, because while I got, you know, interested in wrestling with this match, that's when I discovered, like, other talents then, and that was the time where Luna Vachon was wrestling and Alundra Blaze. That's how I discovered the women, and then Japan, because Alundra Blaze was wrestling in Japan, and I started to really look at Bull Nakano's work and Manami Toyota, and one of my friends was a big Japanese fan, so he would buy tapes online, and on, like, newsletters and stuff. So it all started because of Undertaker, but I would say it got really in my mind in being a professional wrestler with all the talents I was seeing, and the girls also.
That makes sense, I suppose. But, I mean, it's just weird. And also the fact that you almost kind of started your wrestling career out of spite, as if to say, you know, you say I can't do this, watch me, I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. I never really accepted somebody telling me I can't do something because I'm a girl. That's why I played football, and I played baseball, and I was in a band. So, yeah, and when I got there, like, it was everything and more that I thought it would be, like the challenge of being an artist in the ring, like, you know, the technical stuff, the being a character and working on so many different things in one. So, yeah, I just got hooked.
I assume most of the time you were training with men, I guess.
I was the only women in the class, and in Quebec there was not a lot of girls when I started. Then I moved to Montreal. There were 2 girls. One of them quit, and I ended up being alone for a long time. And of course, the option was for me to be a manager, but I didn't want to, because I trained for this, and I really wanted to be a wrestler. So I started working the guys who wanted to, and it just started from there. I started traveling in the States and other provinces in Canada, and yeah, that's how it started.
Well, you didn't start out with the name Lufisto. That sort of evolved. You started out as Lucifer, and then it sort of changed into Lufisto. How did that happen? What was the original sort of Lucifer character like?
Well, Lucifer was it was more inspired by, well, The Undertaker and one of my favorite characters, Darth Vader. It was more of a dark character, and it was really to fit. One of my teachers' name was the Devil's Machine, and I started sort of as his manager because he wanted me to be able to work with the crowd before I got in the ring. So that's how the name came. It was like easy. Well, you're the Devil's Machine. I'm going to be Lucifer. It was like really easy. So after that, I changed the character a little bit to something like I was a heel. So I was a little more cocky. And then I started to work for Jacques Rougeau, and without asking me, he changed my name to Precious Lucy. So I've learned that I had a new name opening up the local newspaper. I'm like, who's this? Oh, it's me. So I got stuck with the name, and in 2003, I was called to go in Japan, and there was already a Lucy there, and they couldn't pronounce Precious right, so it's like you need a new name. So that's when I started to, look for a new name and, okay, what's my character? I wanted to be something more Japanese, something more cartoonish. So what I did is I took Lou from Lucy and added Fisto from Mac Fisto and Batman and Jedi Fisto from Star Wars. So that's how the name came to life.
Wow, okay. And it was in Japan then. Was that where you sort of then developed the whole super hardcore anime thing as well, with the really distinctive look as well?
Yeah, that's where it started, because everywhere I was going in Japan, like even in restrooms, and there was like animes everywhere. They were advertising and condoms, vegetables, anything. They were everywhere. So that's where I got inspired. And I was watching the cartoons there. Although I could not understand what they were saying, I really liked the fact that they were so cute but so violent at the same time. I'm like, I have to portray that in the ring because it's not something you see. So that's how it started, but slowly though, I started, changing my gear a little bit, the way I was acting, and to get to the point where I am today, the super hardcore anime.
This is really nice. It's like everything you've done has almost kind of been an evolution of from when you started right through. That's really interesting. Okay.
Oh, definitely. Like I just believe that in wrestling you never stop learning, and there's always something to perfect. So that's why, like, the process for me is always slow, because I try new things, but slowly, and then I get to the point where I want to be.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, as far as your evolution as a performer, I think the first place that a lot of people, or the first time people heard about the name Lufisto, was when you were involved in a lot of the hardcore stuff and so on. Am I right in thinking that part of your character, that part of your style, that developed for Jacques Rougeau back in Canada?
Well, Rougeau didn't want me to do hardcore. Actually, that's one of the reasons I quit his company. He didn't want me to work guys, and he didn't want me to work hardcore. And I knew that, I needed something to get noticed, but I also wanted to push my limits. And for me, wrestling has always been about challenging myself, challenging my body, pushing the limits, and I couldn't do that with him, so that's why I quit. And I joined ICW in Quebec, where they were really into the hardcore thing. And one day I wrestled one of the guys there, and it just happened. Like, he threw me in the crowd, and then the chairs went, flying, and the guardrails and stuff. And the people were so, like, they were about to riot. The reaction was so, like, overwhelming that I'm like, wow, this is what I need to do to push my limits and try new stuff. So slowly I started, adding the chairs, the thumbtacks, the lights, the barbed wire, and I ended up in a bunch of promotions to finally make it to CZW, where I think, like, my name really got around, and that's when I started to see my matches on YouTube, and then I just think it started from there, the whole thing about my name being everywhere and associated to hardcore as well, because there was, besides me and Mickey Knuckles and a few other girls, there was not too many girls doing hardcore. And actually that's how I got into Mexico, because they wanted somebody to show the girls there how to do hardcore. So that's why in 2002 I went there and I teach them hardcore.
Only because I haven't seen an awful lot of your hardcore stuff. I have seen some stuff. Just talk to me about how mentally you get to that point. I mean, the first time that you would have used light tubes in a match, the first time you'd have used thumbtacks, how difficult was it each time to get to that next level, and how scared did you get that something was going to go wrong? I'm
not, like, I prepare everything, and I go through the matches in my head, or what I want to do before the match. So I can't say I'm scared, because I use weapons that I know I can control. That's why I won't use fire or acid or anything that I feel that I don't have, like, full control. I know where to place the lights. I know how to bump on the lights. I know, how to fall on a bunch of thumbtacks. So what I do might not be safe for a regular person, but to me, it's something I feel is safe because I can control. And how I get into this like hardcore matches, like one day I met Mick Foley, and the best advice he ever gave me was like, just go out there and do it. Don't think. So that's what I do. I just go out there and do it.
Wow.
You had quite a few battles as far as the wrestling in wrestling hardcore style wrestling men. We read about this the thing about you having to go to the Court for Human Rights in Ontario. Can you tell us a bit about that story? Because this is nuts.
It is. I was wrestling for the Hardcore Wrestling Federation, and I had been fighting men for a while, doing hardcore things. But there was a law in Ontario with the Athletic Commission that stated that women and men could not be in the ring at the same time in a fighting contest. And, of course, nobody ever complained and nobody cared about those rules. So I've been wrestling guys in hardcore matches for about, I think, 3 years. And then there was a promoter who didn't like me because I refused to work for him. And my company went into his city to promote a show. And the main event match was me. It was a tag team table death match, which I was involved with. And when he saw that, the whole law came out, and he called the commissioner. It's like, there's a girls wrestling guys, according to this number of the law thing, blah, blah, blah. So the commissioner, he had to enforce the law. So he called the promoter. It's like, if this match happening, you have to pay a fine. She's banned from Ontario and blah, blah, blah. So I got, my presence was canceled. The show happened, but I could not wrestle guys from this point. So what I did is I called the human rights because, once again, you cannot tell me I cannot do something because I'm a woman. It's wrong, and you can't stop somebody from doing something because of their gender. So I'm like, this is so wrong. So I called human rights, and I filed a complaint saying that how come you're having film crews in Toronto and you have women fighting guys as stunt women, and they're allowed to, but I cannot do it in the ring. I'm a trained professional. I had classes. I've been doing that. It was 5 years after I started wrestling. I do have people supporting me, guys that wrestle me that know that I'm safe and that nothing will happen. This is a performance. Yes, we do get hit, but I'm trained to do so. So I had so many good arguments, and I filed tons of paper, and it cost me so much long distance call to Toronto. But in the end, I finally got what I wanted. The whole commission was abolished.
Wow.
I don't know if I can say that word on Diva Dirt, but don't fuck with Lufisto.
You can say that. I'm fine with that.
Oh, yeah, good.
That's amazing. I didn't realize that you managed to get a whole area shut down.
Yeah, I did. I just wanted the law to be, removed from all the papers. But no, they went, how come they can regulate something that's not fully a sport, and even if it is, they're making money because the commission was not even showing up at events to see if the wrestlers were trained, if there was a doctor there, or anything. They were just taking money from the wrestlers and the promotion. So they started looking in the papers and saw everything was wrong, so they just shut them down.
You must be kind of a national hero in that area or something.
I think the next day, I think it's Cherry Bomb. She sent me a message oh my God, I got to wrestle. No, it's Jennifer Blake. She wrestled her then boyfriend. It's oh my God, it happened because of you. Thank you so much. So I was really happy. It was a win for myself, but for all the girls in Ontario, because what happens if there's a girls match and your opponent doesn't show up? Back then, the girls was just canceled. She wouldn't get her money. Now something happens. There's a guy. Oh, intergender match. So it saved a lot of work for a lot of girls.
Let me ask you about intergender matches, and especially, I guess, in the hardcore style as well. It's often difficult. I mean, you've got a very hard-hitting style, so I think it's more believable for you, but it's often difficult for the girls to realistically get heat on a guy in a match and so on. Have you ever had issues with guys who've looked at you and said, okay, look, I don't want to work with you because you're a girl. I don't want to sell your offense because you're a girl. If you had anybody, especially with the hardcore, you think about these really sort of, manly men. Have you had issues with any of them who, just because of your gender?
When I started, yes. Like if somebody had to work me and they didn't want to, they were punching me in the face so hard that they thought I wouldn't get up. I got stretched bad, like so many times. And then I would hit back and I would fight back and just always get up. And it's like, I'm in this ring, I'm equal, as a fighter. So I'm really hard-headed. So I'm like, I just stood up to them. And in the end, like, everybody knew that, they couldn't play that game with me, so I never had a problem then. Like, a lot of people now today are telling me, like, I would work you, but I wouldn't work other girls because they're not tough enough. But I think the same also. It's like, you have a girl like Sarah Del Rey, it's believable that she's fighting guys because she hits us hard and she's much better than a lot of the guys.
That's
but
true.
Sometimes you have girls fighting guys and, it shows, the difference shows. Like, even for me, when I came back from injuries, I was watching my match, I'm like, oh my God, this is bad. I was not hitting hard enough, it's not credible enough. So it's really important for me that if the girl goes in there with a guy, she needs to hit as hard and get hit as hard. If she can't take it, she doesn't belong in the ring with the guys. It's bad for her, and it's bad for the opponents as well.
Yeah, fair enough. And by the time you got to CZW, then I guess by that point you had enough credibility sort of built up, and enough reputation that none of the guys in CZW had any issues working with you.
Yeah, I never had a problem at CZW. Actually, I was always like impressed with the opponents I was facing. Like, I would go there, it's like, oh, tonight you're fighting Nick Gage or Sabian, or I'm like, oh my God, do I belong in there with them? But John Zendig thought so, and they saw my work in Mexico. I've worked Joe Leather there and other guys, and they saw my work at IWS in Montreal. So they knew what I was capable of, and, John really trusted me with what I could do, and he really pushed my limits because I'm one of those that's never sure going in a match that I'll be good enough. And every time I got to CZW, I'm like, oh man, am I good enough to fight like B-Boy, or am I good enough for Chuck Taylor or Sabian? Like, it would happen. But John always trusted my my abilities, and it made me a better wrestler for sure. Because whatever people think, CZW is a lot more than the hardcore. I did a lot more cruiserweight matches there than I did in hardcore style.
Mm-hmm. Did you get a lot of sort of creative freedom then when you were at CZW?
I was doing what he wanted me to do, but I had creative freedom on what move I had to do with. Like, my opponents were really cool about anything I wanted to try, and we just had to stick with John's plan of where we were going. But in the ring, like, I must say, I was really blessed with the opponents I have. Like, B-Boy would come to me, he's like, oh, I found this new move for you. I'm like, wow, this is so cool. I don't even have to think. He has moves for me. So, yeah, CCW were, like, really, really cool. I really enjoyed working Sammy Callahan, too. Like, he would get to the venue, and he had all those crazy ideas for us to do. So, like, yeah, it was really fun time, and I've learned a lot there.
Your hardcore stuff, I suppose, though, in recent years has kind of been toned back a bit. Was that a deliberate sort of thing because you've done that, you want to move on to something else, or is it something that maybe your body was telling you couldn't keep taking these bumps or so on?
Well, yeah, for sure. Like, my body with my back injury told me, like, whoa, it's do something else, or at least tone it down a little bit. And personally, I got tired of it because what else could I do more? I jumped from a balcony. I've landed on, thousands of thumbtacks. I took a Spanish fly from the ring to the outside through lights in Mexico. I'm like,
wow.
Okay, what's the next step? Like having my arm ripped off. I'm like, meh. I don't really feel the need to do it. Like, I believe in the end of a big feud, it's something good to do, or, adding a few chair shots in a match. But to go the ultra-violent stuff, like being in a tournament just for being in a tournament, I don't really feel like doing it anymore. To me, it's a lot more challenging wrestling different people every time, and pushing my limits as a wrestler, like wrestling Wesna and Melissa. I really got tired also of the thing that, she can't work, she's just doing hardcore. I'm like, God damn it, I can do more, so let me show you. And I just think, like, it was time for me to, take another path. Like, I'm not saying I will not do it again, but it will have to be, it will have to mean something to storyline, or if it's to help Femmes Fatales or any women promotion, like let's say Chick Fry is asking me, we would like to have a hardcore female match as something different, then I would probably do it. But just doing hardcore for doing, the sake of doing hardcore, no, I'm past that, I guess.
Well, the back injury that you had, what, late 2006, something like that, was it?
2007.
Yeah, I mean, was it a case of it was one thing that caused it, or was it just a build-up of different things that caused you just to say, this is really bothering me now?
Yeah, my back started like to feel weird about like 5 months before it completely went out. I was feeling pain and it was going down my leg. I'm like, there's something wrong, but I was stretching and I was feeling better, and if I took a weird bump, then it would come back. And then suddenly I'm wrestling Misty Haven in Ontario. The ring was really, really bad. So she torn up her ACL in that match, and my back gave out. It was a really bad match for me and Misty. So I went in the car and drove an hour, and then I couldn't get out of the car. I was in so much pain. Like, in my legs, I couldn't feel them that much. I'm like, I'm getting paralyzed right now. And I ended up in the hospital. I waited for 20 hours. And what they found is, it's called herniated discs. I have 3 of them in my lower back. And what it does, it's the little gel just gets out of the spine and it presses on all my nerves. And when it does, I just sort of collapse because I lose all the strength in my legs. So for 7 months, I didn't wrestle, and I never retired. But people say I do, but I didn't. I just wrote down on my website, I'm like, I'm taking a break because right now I really don't feel good. I'm going to make a decision later. And then I started physiotherapy and massage therapy, stretching, getting my back stronger in the gym, and started to feel better. And I designed a pad for my back to protect my spine from getting hit and get that little gel, so it stays inside my spine. And 7 months later, I got back in the ring. It was against Casey Diamond in Montreal. And so I'm like, I'm going to try this match and we'll see how it goes. And we wrestled for 20 minutes. And at the end, I remember I was with a guest manager, and I looked at him like, oh, my God, it doesn't hurt. This thing worked.
Wow. I mean, during that time that you were out then of, whatever it was, 9 months or so, was there a time you thought, actually, this is not going to get better, this is the end for me?
Oh, at the beginning, I really thought, because when I was on the stretcher at the hospital waiting to see the doctor, I'm like, man, I can't go through this again. This is so painful. This is not worth it. But I was in such pain, I cannot even describe what it felt like. And the first, I would say, 3-4 months, I really thought that would be over. But when I started physiotherapy, it's when I saw that, maybe there was a possibility for me to get back in the ring.
Mm-hmm. And what about your health now? I mean, obviously we talked earlier on about the issues recently, the potential stroke was what it was reported as. But recently you've been selling off a bunch of your gear and so on, and you made a sort of note at some point that you thought you might have another year in the business.
Mm-hmm.
Are you in the last bit of your career now? Are you in the epilogue of the career?
Right now, I'm in the thinking about retirement.
Okay.
Because I know for my body it would be nice for me to stop before it's too late, but I feel like I still have stuff to do, and that's what's bothering me. I still feel that I'm useful to Femme Fatale as a wrestler, because when I'm done, I would love to work with the girls still and work for the promotion and maybe train some of them. But like right now, I've been thinking about retirement for a good year. But then, like in Femme Fatale on Saturday, I have TV coming. I just did a big documentary for a big channel here in Canada. I'm like, I want to quit, but there's so many things happening. It's like, I guess it's not the time. But I've been thinking about it.
So would an option maybe then to, instead of just full retiring, maybe to sort of scale back your bookings and maybe just take fewer bookings?
Oh, that's what I did. Like right now, I'm not wrestling every week. And besides Femme Fatale, NCW, and Shimmer, I'm not really doing much. So, yeah, I do take breaks now between bookings. Like I'm not, besides June, I'm not wrestling every week or like... I'm not doing those crazy 3-4 matches a week anymore, and I don't even go on tour anymore because I do have a good job. So yeah, I did slow down already.
What about then obviously Femme Fatale and building that is one professional goal in the ring. What about other in-ring goals? So if you are scaling back now, what else is there for you to do as an in-ring performer, do you think?
Well, in terms of championship, I would really like to get my hands on the Shimmer belt, at least before I retire, and the Femme Fatale belt. But the last thing I would really love to do is to have one match at TNA, just one. Dark match, whatever, I don't care. I just want to experience what it is. But besides that, like maybe a little more traveling in Europe. Like I said before, I've never been to England. I've never been to France. I'd really love to maybe wrestle in Australia for Madison Eagles. These are little things I would, love to do before it's over.
Interesting. You mentioned TNA. At any time in your career, I mean, have you ever really sort of considered a national promotion? Is that something that you wanted to do, or did you always think that you were maybe the sort of person that they wouldn't look for?
I did try. Like I sent my stuff to WWE. But then again, I got the same, you're very talented, but you don't have the model look we're looking for. I didn't get any surgeries, and I don't plan to. and I'm basically not what they're looking for. I think I could bring them something different.
Oh, absolutely.
But I don't know if they would have the guts to, let me go in there and do my thing. Because I did wrestle Natty Neidhart, and it was one of my favorite matches of all time. And I'm sure we could do the same on national TV and get a lot of reaction, but I don't think with the way I look, they would give me that chance. With TNA, like right now, they did change the division a lot. So do I belong there? I think a lot more than WWE. I think I could do a lot of good things with either Madison Rayne. I would love to work Daphne. I love Sarita. Of course, Amada. So for me, like that would be the place I would like to go. I did try. And the time is never right, so I'm hoping they're going to give me a chance in upcoming months.
Well, you mentioned about how TNA's changed as far as its knockouts division is concerned. What do you think it's like at the moment?
What I liked about the division back then is they were giving time to the girls to work. Size didn't really matter. It was all about talent. Like, I mean, yes, you had the beautiful girls, but the matches were so good, and they were, like I was saying, they were giving time to the matches. The matches were long. They were on the pay-per-view. They meant something on the card. Sometimes you had 2 matches of knockouts, even cage matches. And right now, it's like they're more focusing on bringing out the diva style again, which is really sad because they have such great workers. Like I said, Sarita, Taylor Wilde, Amada, Daphne. And right now, I think they're focusing too much on the look, and they're losing one of the reasons why people were watching TNA. Because, you know, even if they don't want to admit it, the highest ratings was when Gail Kim was fighting Kong, and then you had Taylor fighting Kong, and all those crazy matches you had with the women. And it's, I just think they're making the same mistake they did with the X Division. They had something different from WWE that people could, you know, could watch and enjoy, because it's not everybody who likes WWE. With TNA, you had another option. And right now, I'm watching, like, if I'm watching both shows, I don't really see a difference besides the fact that right now TNA looks like WCW. And
that's true.
I'm saying that being a TNA fan, because I love Desmond Walt, I love Kurt Angle, I'm a big fan of Mr. Anderson. I like the product. I just don't think right now the good assets are in front of how can I say that? They're not
being utilized correctly.
Exactly. Like, they have the good assets, but they're not utilized. Like, they use other people that we've seen before that are not in good shape anymore. That, you know, it's things we've seen. Like, they're losing the reason why wrestling fans were tuning in TNA every week. There's AJ Styles, but, you know, there's no more low key. Where's Christopher Daniels? Like, there's no time for these people, and you got a tremendous worker, but we can't see them. They're just talking for 25 minutes. There's no work, or there's less of it, and I just think it's really, really sad, because the option of watching something else than WWE doesn't exist anymore, unless you watch Fight Network or you get the ROH DVDs on TV. Right now, mainstream, the option is gone.
You know, the funny thing that I thought about, and it's something which sprang to mind recently, is that if you want to see on TV a decent long wrestling match involving women, your only option is Wrestlicious.
And that's sad. Not that I'm against Wrestlicious. I believe there's a public for that. But again, it's more about the characters and being funny. Yeah. I believe that if you really want to watch good women wrestling, your option is Shimmer, Femme Fatale, or, buy DVDs. Because long, good women matches are not on TV anymore.
Yeah, that's probably fair enough. Moving back to Femme Fatale this weekend, something you did say earlier on, and we touched on it, is the fact that you wanted to give a spotlight to people that wouldn't necessarily be seen by fans worldwide. Of the girls that you've got there, the younger girls, the people that haven't really been exposed on a national or international level yet, who are you looking at as being the people who can then carry on your torch as like a representative of Quebec and so on?
Right now, I think my strongest worker, although she needs a little bit of touch up here and there, I believe Calamity is really strong. She's a really strong style hitter. She needs to work on a few things, but you watch her and you know wrestling, it's in her blood. It's really a passion. She's not doing it for anybody else. She's how can I say that? Like, to me, I don't know how to explain it, but to me, she's the one who could push her limits and get somewhere else. Like, that's why last time we picked her to go against cheerleader Melissa, because we thought, it's going to be hard. She's not used to Melissa's style, but she needs to start somewhere, and probably that's where she'll notice every little detail that she has to work on. And she was really nervous, but she went in there with Melissa and did her best. And yeah, I'm really looking forward for her to get more experience and work with the girls.
Okay. I need to ask you this question only because you've been around a lot of different locker rooms, be that in Japan, Mexico, CZW, and so on. And, you know, there's always stories about crazy wrestlers and so on. Who's the craziest guy or girl you've ever met in any of the locker rooms that you've been in?
Oh, girls, craziest guy.
Guys or girls, whichever one you want.
Oh my gosh, Sexy Eddie's kind of crazy. Don't give alcohol to the guy. He's out of control. But he's really funny. But no, Eddie's out of control. When he wants to party, like, just get out of the way. I would have to say Sexy Eddie.
All right. Because I reckon that especially around the CZW locker room, you probably met quite a few characters.
Well, I did, but the funny thing is probably everybody was expecting me to answer something like Necro Butcher. But as much as he's crazy in the ring, Necro Butcher backstage is one of the quiet guys out there. He's sitting down and he's reading a book. Seriously. So what you see in the ring is not always what you expect in the locker room.
What a guy.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm a Star Wars fan, and I would talk Star Wars with Necro Butcher. Who would have thought?
Now there's an image for everybody listening out there. Lufisto and Necro Butcher talking about The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, we're talking about the books and stuff. It was cool.
The books?
Yeah,
that's getting deep.
Wow, that's even more nerdy. I appreciate that. That's fantastic.
Hey, I'm a geek. I do have a Zelda tattoo on my wrist, and I do have Zelda posters, and I watch Star Wars every week, and I do have right in front of me in my bedroom a Ewok. So yeah, I do have 2 Ewoks actually.
Wow.
Just when you couldn't think the Crystal could get any cooler.
Yeah, wow. I was going to ask you a question then about Peekaboo, your little mascot, but you know,
yes.
I guess we're actually quite lucky you didn't end up coming out with an Ewok instead. But I mean, talk to us a little bit about that addition to the overall thing.
Well, Peekaboo was added my character for ROH because ROH came to Montreal and they asked me to wrestle Daisy Hayes. Daisy Hayes she's a baby face, so they wanted me to work as a heel. So I asked Dave Prazak, like, since ROH is like the sister promotion of Shimmer and they will be expecting the anime, what should I do? So he suggested that I keep the character but add a little dark twist to it, so it would like make it heel. So what I did, for those who saw the ROH match with Daisy, the colors are darker, but I look more weird than really mean. So I acted pretty much more on the psycho side of the character, like weird and hearing voices and trying to catch things that I only see, and that's where Peekaboo came in. Because actually the idea of Peekaboo came from the Addams Family. You could see in Addams Family, the first movie, Wednesday has a doll, and she removes her head and gives it to her little brother.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, this is so good. So I bought a doll. I dressed her up. Like I made her little dress myself. I put makeup on her and stuff, and I'm like, I have to find a name. So I thought, Peekaboo, because she's there to scare people. So I just changed the K for a G, so it sounded more like baby, like Peekaboo. So so what I did, just when the match started, that's where I came to Daisy. I'm like, her name is Peekaboo and she doesn't like you. And I removed her head and gave it to Daisy. And she's like, oh my God, this is so gross. And the match started. So that's how Peekaboo was born. But the thing is, something I didn't expect. The following week, I get into NCW. I was teaming up with Samson there, which was the biggest heel. And I go out and I bring Peekaboo. And people started cheering. she had a pop. She's like, she was so over with the crowd. Like, oh my God, this is so cute. And they had no choice. Like, the following show, they didn't even, like, really turn me heel. I got out and just as the song started, people started cheering. So Peekaboo turned me backface.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating story, isn't it? I mean, you know, how your career has gone from, you know, being known for the hardcore stuff to now being the one with the little doll.
Yeah,
and you're like equally as popular no matter which one you do.
And Peekaboo gets involved in the matches too. I don't know if you saw with Melissa.
I did.
She did a crossbody on Melissa.
Incredible. All right then. Well, look. Let's finish up again by talking a little bit about this coming weekend. Just give us a little 60-second preview. What can we expect this week at Femmes Fatales 3?
Well, Femmes Fatales 3, you can expect like great women wrestling, great matches, and you're gonna know who will have the chance to meet up later next year to become the first ever Femmes Fatales champion. We have Daphne for the first time here. We have both Canadian Ninjas and Shimmer champion Portia Perez and Nicole Matthews, the ever popular cheerleader Melissa. And it's also the place where you'll be able to discover local talent like Anna Manushka, who did her Shimmer debut last show. You have Mary Lee Rose, Karen Brooks, Anastasia Ivy. Also have Calamity, which is a really, really good wrestler, and the debut of Sweet Cherry. They have an outgoing feud all throughout Quebec, so this one's going to be really intense. Of course, we have Cat Power, who's made a big impression on last show. The crowd loved to hate her. And Mistress Belmont also will be there facing her. The funny thing is that Belmont has a crush on one of her referees, so we'll see what happens.
Fantastic, and DVDs will be available soon after. What's the website? NCWFemmesFatales.com?
NCWFemmesFatales.com, and of course this is French, but if you want to get